Howdy, 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 guys. Welcome to Cliff Notes Live, March the 15th. Man, I hope the time change didn't screw anyone up. It's still daylight outside down here in Houston. I'm not used to that. I'm used to getting a little dark and everything and doing my show indoors. Still fairly bright outside. I don't know. One of these Cliff Notes, maybe I'm just going to go outside, do it on the back porch, and we'll make an outdoor occasion of it. But if I'm going to do that, I better do it pretty quick because it gets so darn hot down here in Houston. I don't want to be, y'all don't want to see me sweating away like I'm doing a VB competition or something while I'm trying to do Cliff Notes. So maybe we'll do that here over the next month or so. How are y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I see a few of y'all out there, man. All my buddies. Once again, I hope all of y'all are doing fantastic. And yes, Parker, it's the Ides of March. Welcome to the Ides of March. We're going to talk about that for just a little bit. You know, this day in history and all that. How can I leave that out? But before we do any of that, let me just start as I always do. I'd feel bad if I didn't do that. SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all the other reality fans out there, Big Brother fans. Love all of y'all that are coming out here to spend an evening with me and everyone else on board. Thank y'all. It's so much fun. It's such a great way to start a brand new week. So thank y'all for letting me share it with y'all. Let's see. Comments. Yes, a Latin teacher is about to talk about that. All right, well, Ma, with that in mind, yes, indeed. Beware the Ides of March. Yeah. We'll talk about what that means. But before we talk about what the Ides of March are, I give you a little history lesson for those of you taking Latin, such as Ma. You may know this. I didn't know this till just not too long ago. What the Ides of March? Ides of March means March 15th. But do you know why that is? What the word Ide actually means? I didn't know. I had to look it up. I didn't take Latin when I was in high school. Maybe I should have. Maybe it would have helped me along the way. But Ide comes from the Latin word which means to split. Well, it means to split. Hence the use of our word divide, as in division, split in two. Isn't that cool? So you divide something, you go right down the middle. So that's what the Romans called the middle of any month. So the Ides of March would be the middle of March, the March 15th. So there you go. There's your little Latin lesson for those of you who want to amaze your friends, family, teachers, things like that. So yeah, that's what the Ides of March means. But why is it important? And yeah, as Ma points out, on this day, a long time ago, 44 BC specifically, Julius Caesar, the great leader of the Roman Empire and all that, stabbed by his best friend Brutus and a whole bunch of other Roman senators. I want to say 23 people, or a whole bunch of senators stabbed them in the back. Yeah, think of it. How many things we get? The Ides of March, getting stabbed in the back. I'm sure that comes from this whole event as well. The idea that someone that was stabbed, what is that, 44 BC, so 2,065 years ago, and we're still talking about it, we still have so many suggestions, shows what a big deal it was back then, right? But the whole idea is that Caesar started off on the right path. He declared himself, though, along the way, a dictator. A lot of people in the Senate didn't like that someone was trying to take over and get rid of the Republican form in the Roman government. So they stabbed him in the back, thought it'd do better if they got rid of Caesar. Instead, all it did is cause a lot of civil wars. They fought, and the whole Roman Empire fell I say a little while later. I think still several hundred years later, but even longer than that. But the Roman Empire was never the same once they got rid of their leader, Caesar. But yeah, so beware the Ides of March. Beware people. Beware Caesar dressing, I suppose. Beware people walking around with knives and people. Consider the Ides of March like a big old real life Big Brother game. You never know who may stab you on the back in this particular day. From Julius Caesar, literally. But now, so that's the Ides of March. One more. I'm not making this Cliff Notes history lesson, so I'm going to move off of this pretty quick. But one more quick little thing. Did y'all know that today is also the address for the Nuremberg address here in the United States, which is not very well known, but when was it? I want to say 1790. I can't remember now. I can't remember. Nuremberg address, 1782, I think, something like that. Anyway, we had just basically beat the British. This whole idea of the United States, this big Republican type of government and everything, it was almost derailed because none of our soldiers had gotten paid. They were all upset. They haven't gotten paid. They'd been promised that they'd get a pension for the rest of their lives. It didn't look like that was going to happen. So our military got ready to have a military coup against Congress, and it would have turned the United States into a military-run government instead of a Republican-type government. Believe it or not, isn't that amazing? But at the very last minute, George Washington came in and said, "Guys, we fought all this time for a Republican government so that we the people would have a say, whether it's a king, whether it's the army. That's not what we fought for. Y'all gotta let this slide, guys. Y'all gotta figure out some other way to do it." He convinced a lot of the officers to not have a military coup. They backed off. Congress gave them some money to pay for being in the army and all that instead, and everything got better. But there you go. Back then, we almost went from a Republican government into a military coup, military-run type United States of America. How different would the world have been if that had been the case? And with that in mind, these things just kind of segue away. But I saw a show all about the Kennedy assassination. I'll talk about that in a second. Remind me if I miss out. But I want to look at these comments before I go too much further, because y'all know how I work. Sometimes I just start talking and just ramble on and miss out on some of the other things. All right, let's see. Dawn, this is off topic, but I'm in Instagram. I'd love it if you followed me, Cliff. Send me something. All of y'all, send me a DM if you don't mind. I'm obviously on Instagram and Twitter. Send me something. So I'll make sure I'm keeping up with y'all. All right, let's see. Howdy to all of y'all. Hello. Don from Massachusetts. You're right there in the middle of all the fighting that went on back in the day as this country is formed, right? We down here, I talked about last week. Obviously, Texas didn't have a lot of revolutionary battles down here, but we had a lot of the Texas battles, and we're right in the thick of that. So over the next few weeks, I'll be talking some of the Texas history as we get into that as well. Juan, do you think the Irish mob killed JFK? Who knows? Who knows? How many theories are out there? It's amazing that all the suspicions that go on and so many different ideas that are thrown out there. Personally, no, I don't think it's Irish mob. I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't some people within government and things like that may have, if not been involved with it, weren't probably completely upset to see it happen and all that. Who knows? Who knows? It's a little before, believe it or not, even old ancient Cliff Hogg, Kennedy was assassinated a little bit before my time. But I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I spent a lot of time in Dallas. So I don't know how many times I've gone by the school book depository and seen where it happened and tried to imagine myself sitting there on the grassy knoll and hearing it and everything else. All right, and I'm gonna segue into something else. Did y'all know I wasn't the first person that was a television personality in my family? And no, it wasn't my brother Bowie who was on The Apprentice either. It was actually my father, Porky Hogg, who back when, I don't know, when was this, the 80s or something, they filmed a movie called The Trial of Lee Harvey Oswald. And the whole idea is TV series. The whole idea, what if Lee Harvey Oswald hadn't been assassinated by Jack Ruby? What if he had lived and Lee Harvey was put on trial? And so they exposed everything and tried, find out all about the assassination. Well, my dad and one of his buddies both went over to Dallas, and they were extras on that TV show. They both played news reporters. And so he said they had to dress up in old, clothes from the 60s and carry old-fashioned cameras. And so there's a few shots when you watch a movie of my dad sitting there holding a camera, taking pictures of Lee Harvey Oswald and things like that. So yeah, that's my my tie-in to the Kennedy assassinations. My father played an extra in one of the TV shows about the aftermath of the assassination. So there you go. Just in case you didn't know that, and no reason that you would about me. So there you go. All right, let's see. How much is gas in Houston? Amanda is asking. Man, Amanda, I drive so little now compared to before COVID and everything else. I don't know, $2 something a gallon, $2.39, $2.29, depends on if you're buying it from one of the rich gas stations versus one of the, on a highway versus one of the ones. But it's not like it is over in California. Now, I don't know where you are, Amanda, and other, others of y'all across different parts of the U.S., but I know over in California, I've seen signs that's like $5.50 a gallon or so. That's rough. That is tough. I forget COVID. I'm not driving anywhere just because I can't afford the gas if I'm paying $5.50 a gallon. It's a lot cheaper down here. It's always cheaper. We don't have as many taxes as some of the other states do and things like that. So it's a little bit cheaper, but yeah, gas is getting expensive, which as a petroleum engineer, you know, I'm a driver too. I spend money just like everything else. I don't want the price of oil to make it so no one can go anywhere. I just want it nice and level that people can count on and all of that. But yeah, gas is getting expensive again. Let's see. National Biodiesel Day is on Thursday, and National HIV/AIDS Awareness Day is on Saturday. All right, Parker, those are two that I did not know about. Biodiesel, I know we've got the ethanol up in Iowa and places like that use a lot. And I tell you what, down in Brazil, they use sugarcane to make all kinds of biodiesel fuel, and they use a lot of it down there. So that doesn't have as much energy content as actual oil that you get from the ground, but hey, it's still a nice alternative source, which we're going to need going forward. And as far as National HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, all I can say is, you know, it's still an issue, but oh my gosh, the jumps, the progress we've made in fighting that disease. I remember way back, what was it? Early 90s when Magic Johnson said that, you know, announced that he'd been diagnosed with HIV. And back then it was a death sentence. If you got it, that was pretty much it. And now it's still as horrible as it is. We've made so many strides in it. So yeah, I'm just always impressed with our technology. Look at the COVID vaccine. You know, the fact that they were able to create something so quickly after this stuff hit, it just shows what we're capable of if we put our minds together and work together. And so I'm always happy to see us make that kind of progress. All right, moving on. Let's see what else is going on. Military and tech monopoly control kind of is the case, but we won't go there. All right, let's see. Preschools are chaotic. My brother's in kindergarten. Ma, yes, indeed. That's their job as a kindergartner. Ask as many questions as you can, explore as much as you can, and learn as much as you can. And hey, kindergarten, you know, you figure your kindergarten kids, their first chance to get away from the confines of their home, a brand new big old world. I don't blame them for asking and doing everything they can during that period of time. All right, let's see what else is going on. Do I have Instagram? Oh, well, asking Mom. Brian Hosser, appreciate your feedback. All right, guys, here, I'm going to throw this out before I forget about it. Big Brother 23 coming up this summer. We got Big Brother Canada going on right now, right? But Big Brother US is happening this summer. They're still taking videos. I don't think they're doing any casting calls in person this year. At least they haven't announced any yet. But they're certainly taking their videos. So if you're 21 or above and you want to be on the show, man, send in a video. It's fun. Whether you make it on or not, it's kind of cool, the whole process that's involved. So y'all do it, and good luck to you. And Don saying, Porky Hog, that reminds me of Porky Pig. My dad's name, William Clifford Hogg Jr. I'm the third. That's why y'all always heard Cliff Hogg 3. But he went by the name Porky since he was 2 or 3 years old. That was his nickname. Everyone called him that, which he was a school teacher. So you can only imagine the kids, and you can only imagine Friday nights with the prank calls and everything else we got because his name was listed in the phone book like that. But yeah, Porky Hog. It's not a name you're going to forget, right? So yeah, that's the name he went by. All right, let's see. TV Talks with Tom. Love your videos. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And 290 in Virginia, Amanda said. See, that's not too bad. It's gone. I remember as a kid, we went on vacation to California, and everyone warned my parents. They said, make sure whatever you do, that you get gas before you get into Death Valley and that part of California, because there's no gas stations anywhere. The 1 or 2 stations that are anywhere close to that, they're going to charge 55 cents a gallon for gasoline. And of course, my parents immediately, oh, that's highway robbery. How in the world could they justify doing that? Yeah, make sure you get your gas before that. Gas used to be so cheap. Of course, everything was cheaper back then, but gas in particular, it was cheap. You didn't even think about it. You'd go in and fill up your car for $3 or $4, and that was it. So let's see. Of course, all the cars got 7 miles per gallon as well. Juan Chavez, I live in Texas. Yeah, congratulations, howdy neighbor. All right. The person wants to, okay, my keyboard is somewhat working. All right, I saw an addition video for BB23 for a guy from Massachusetts. Really hope he makes it on. Don't see many people from my state on Big Brother. Yeah, Don, it's funny. I thought about that during my season. It seems like we had a whole lot of people from California. We had a whole lot of people from the Northeast. Now we had Kat and myself, both from Texas. Jessica was from Chicago, and then we had a few. Ovi and Mickey were both from Tennessee and all that. But there were whole parts of the country that weren't represented. Nowhere, Pacific Northwest wasn't represented. I guess Jack was from Florida, so Florida had a little representation. But yeah, it's funny that you get these little bunches of people, and you don't have, you aren't a little more spread out in terms of where people are and everything else. So, well, yeah, Massachusetts, bring them on. You're right. We didn't have any from my season. It's funny because I've traveled all over the world, but I've never been up to the Northeast United States that much. And suddenly now I'm friends with, someone from a couple of people from Pennsylvania, Sam and Nick, and then of course Long Island and Staten Island and New Jersey with Christy and Tommy and Nicole. So yeah, I got all kinds of buddies up in that neck of the woods. All right, let's see. Someone from my state made on. Her name was Sam. I remember Sam. Sam was quite the personality. She was very interesting. She was a little robot at one point. If y'all haven't seen her season, which was season 20, wasn't it? I think so. All right, so let's move on. I've rambled a little bit, but we talked about the Ides of March and everything else. Oh, I didn't even get into what today is. Today is National Napping Day, which I could personally think every day is kind of napping day. Isn't it something? As a little kid, you're talking about kindergartners. Kindergartners hate taking naps because they want to go out and do everything. Nowadays, I just don't have time for a nap, but I'd be happy to take a nap every day if I could afford to do so. It sounds pretty cool to me. But what a perfect day for naps, being it's daylight savings time kicked in over the weekend and all that. I hate the spring. The fall, when you get an extra hour, that's not too bad. But in the spring, when you have to give up an hour, that's brutal. It takes a little while to get used to. I'd be perfectly happy if we just had daylight savings time throughout the whole year. Just keep it the way it is right now. Don't ever change it back. It gets dark a little bit later in the evenings during the winter time, which I think everyone would appreciate. I've always heard, I guess the argument is that's a little tougher for kids going to school because they have to go to school in the dark and things like that. And so I get that there's some arguments, but I wish we could just keep our time the same all year long and not have this spring forward, fall back and all that, because it'll take me a week to get used to it. So yes, Angie, you're right. Thank you to whoever invented naps. Pictures the caveman. Yeah, the caveman's out there. He's out there hunting down the stegosaurus and running from the tyrannosaurus, figuring out who's the meat eater, who's the plant eater, and all that. Putting in a hard day of work as soon as the sun comes up. By the time he drags that old dinosaur back to the cave, and he's probably saying, all right, I did my work. I'm going to take a little nap. Y'all kids and everyone else who wasn't involved in the hunt, you prepare the meal. I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up when lunch is over or when dinner's ready. So yeah, I imagine naps go back as far back as people even existed in some form or another. Parker saying today is also everything you think is wrong day, and tomorrow is everything you think is right day. Yeah, maybe. So if I say you're wrong, does that mean I'm right today? It's one of those logic arguments. Hey, I'm always going to assume I'm right, but I'm always going to also assume that there's a possibility I'm wrong and let people try to convince me. So yeah, today's National Napping Day. Now the other big day this week, and of course we all know this one, right? Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day. And congratulations, kiss the Blarney Stone, wear your green up. How strange is it that we have a holiday, a tradition where if you don't wear a certain color, green in this example, people are allowed to come up and pinch you and pinch away until you put on some green. Kind of a strange holiday. I remember as a kid going to bed wearing green pajamas and things like that because my brother and I, we took it seriously. Man, if you weren't wearing green, we were just waiting for that second. We'd be running in as soon as someone's trying to change clothes, something, start pinching away just so we could get that pinch in. Nowadays, I don't worry so much about the pinch. It's a little bit more about celebrating the holiday itself. Drinking some green beer. Chicago dyed their river green and all that. Kind of cool. I'm not Irish. I bet everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, right? And now it's all kiss me, I'm Irish. Yeah, that's a part I pay attention to more than I used to. I'm not Irish, as I say. I'm mainly Scottish from my dad's side. On mom's side, a little more German, Czechoslovakian, and some English on there. So yeah, not officially Irish, but on Wednesday I'm claiming it anyway. All right. Yeah, and yesterday was pie day. I should have fixed a big old pie and enjoyed every. Not that I need a special day to eat some pie, but yeah, that's it. Angie's kissed the Barney. All right, there you go. Angie kissed the Blarney Stone. That's pretty cool. Is it in Dublin? I'm not sure even where the Blarney Stone is. You always hear about it, and but I'm thinking that the Blarney Stone may not be getting quite as many kisses this year with COVID and everything else going on. Yeah, no, that's one of those traditions that maybe we just need to not be paying as much attention to this year as we have in the past. Yeah, and St. Patrick's Day, celebrating St. Patrick's death, not birth. All right, yeah. I've never been. I always think we ought to celebrate the birth and the life more than anything else. But I guess someone must have said, hey, middle of March, Ides of March, they're all talking about Julius Caesar. Let's talk about something fun. How about we take St. Patrick instead and give us an excuse to all go drink beer, eat some corned beef, things like that. And Joshy says, I'm just waiting for Easter. Me too. I'm so ready for Easter. We've got a few more weeks, and it's funny, in the Big Brother house we had an Easter egg hunt. I don't know if you could call it Easter egg since it wasn't Easter time, but we had some boiled eggs, and we had our little energy drinks, our little powdered energy drinks, and we used that to make different colored dyes. We each colored our eggs a different color, and then we had a big competition where we hid them all over the Big Brother house to see who could find them, and we had a blast doing it. Now Mickey won, but he also cheated a little bit. He put some eggs up higher. He hit them above the mirrors where we'd said you weren't supposed to and all that. Whatever. He didn't follow the rules on that one, but we still had fun with the Easter egg hunt. Dawn said, my algebra teacher told me if I could recite a certain amount of pi, I'd get a pi. I failed. I can do 3.14, and I figured that's good enough. No one's ever asked me to go further than that. There's people they can go out 10,000 digits or something. Because, pi, it never ends. It goes on forever. So people make it a specialty of just trying to memorize pi out to some amazing digit. I don't know. I figure I only got so many brain cells, and I can't afford to be wasting them on memorizing pi. My other thing I'm thinking is I could come on here right now and tell y'all that I have pi memorized to the 100th digit. And as long as I get about the first 10 right, I figure 99% of y'all, I could just holler out random digits for the last 90. And y'all would know. Who would know? Who would care at the end of the day? So, yeah, as many things. I got to keep up with my reality TV and everything else. I can't afford the brain cells on pi instead. So, there you go. But, yeah, National Pie Day yesterday and National Napping Day today. All right, what else is going on? All right, I told y'all last week. All right, Ma, you've got it more than I do right there with the pie that you put down. All right, I told y'all last week about a movie I watched on Netflix, White Tiger, which was really cool. And I know Angie watched it. I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to, but I've got some more recommendations for y'all today. How about that? All right, I saw some interesting shows. First of all, I'll give y'all one. I don't know how many of y'all have Hulu, but it's out on Hulu. There was an amazing miniseries. I guess it's more of a miniseries I watched called 11/22/63. And it's based on a Stephen King book, which I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but I didn't realize I've missed that one. But it's based on one of his books. It's about a person, James Franco, in fact, who finds a way to travel back in time. I don't want to give a whole lot away, but he finds a way to travel back in time and ends up trying to stop John F. Kennedy from being assassinated. But history and time doesn't want that to happen. It's trying to force things to happen the way they're supposed to. So he's constantly fighting against that. But the whole thing is about him going back in time and doing what he can to try to stop the assassination of Kennedy. And it was so cool. It was not exactly what I expected, but it was good. I think it's about eight episodes, 8 or 9 episodes. So it's about 8 or 9 hours long. But if y'all haven't watched it, either read the book or if you've got Hulu, find 11/22/63. So that's the Boss Hog recommendation for this particular week is 11/22/63. Now I've got another one for y'all as well. And a lot of you have already seen this because this isn't brand new, but it is for me. We watched over the weekend Parasite. Have y'all seen that? It's from South Korea, and I like a lot of South Korean movies. But most of the South Korean movies I watch are like zombie flicks, Alive and Last Train to Busan, and some things like that. This was not a zombie flick. This was very interesting. It was in Korean with English subtitles, so you really have to be watching and paying attention so you can follow along. And I don't want to spoil it at all. I'll just say that I thought it was going to be completely different. I didn't know anything about this movie going in, although I'd heard everyone say how amazing it was. But that's all I knew. And so we watched the movie, and it's just interesting. Is it an amazing movie? Is it a horrendous movie? I don't know. It left me a little unsettled watching it, but very, very interesting. And I always love the international movies and watching how other people treat life and respond to different situations and things like that. There's a lot of surprises in this movie. So if you haven't watched Parasite, watch it. If you don't speak Korean, make sure you find one with the English subtitles. And I say that because we actually found on TV a few months ago, Sharon and I found Parasite on one of the channels and started to watch it, and quickly realized it didn't have English subtitles for whatever reason. And so made it a little hard to watch it. So we stopped, said, well, we're just going to wait till it comes out with the subtitles. And it was well worth the wait. So yeah, watch it. Megan's saying Parasite's so good. Yeah, it was. It just wasn't what I was expecting. I'll just leave it at that. And Crosstrack, we'll read White Tiger for homework this week. That would be an interesting homework assignment. That would be an interesting discussion to have in a classroom as well. Watch it. If y'all get a chance to watch it. All right, Don Bud, Last Train to where? I only remember hearing Last Train to Clarksville. Oh, Don, yeah. You'd be on Nicole's good list. Nicole is such a huge Monkees fan. So yeah, Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees. Did y'all know? I don't know how many Monkees fans may be out here or who even knows the song Last Train to Clarksville, but just a little FYI trivia item. The Monkees were, I don't know, NBC, one of the TV networks, and they were kind of the network's response to the Beatles and all of that. But because they were being shown on NBC, there was a certain amount of censorship in their songs. They weren't allowed to sing about anything that was controversial, or it had to be very much something that everyone would be happy with. But they wanted to sing a song about Vietnam. NBC said, no, absolutely no way we're doing that. So they got around it. They wrote the song Last Train to Clarksville, which is all about a soldier going off to fight in Vietnam. But they don't use any of that words. They never use the words Vietnam, soldiers, anything else. But if you listen to it, it's all, take the Last Train to Clarksville. Not sure when I'm ever coming home, things like that. It was their way of getting around the censors from NBC. So it's actually a Vietnam protest song, I suppose. So there you go. Your Monkees trivia for the day. You never know what you're get on Cliff Notes, right? All right. Don said, I've talked a lot about loving the Monkees. I love the Monkees. I watched the Monkees all the time when I was growing up. I love their music. In fact, I like a lot of that music that's kind of eclectic from back then, and not necessarily top 40 charts, although the Monkees have some. Nicole has been pushing forever for the Monkees to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I got no problem. I think they need to go there as well. They have some amazing music. But I remember listening to the Monkees as a kid. I remember listening to the Monkees. I remember listening to the Partridge Family, the Brady Bunch, all the TV shows that had music back then. I listened to all of them. So there you go. What part of Vietnam is Clarksville in? It's probably way on the southern part, right? I'd love to go to Vietnam one of these. I've been all over the world. I've never been to Vietnam, but I would love to go there because my understanding, especially on the northern part of Vietnam, it's very much not, it doesn't have as much Western exposure, Western culture exposure. So many places I've been to where you think you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then you turn around, there's a Walmart or a McDonald's as you walk around the corner. It's like, yeah, I love those places, but I don't want to see them when I'm trying to get away from Western culture and all of that. Vietnam's not like that. I've heard that you can go over there and it's very much the way it used to be, and you can really just feel like you've transported into another era and everything else. I'd love to go visit one of these days, but not this year, not yet, but somewhere down the road. All right, let's see. So what else? I talked about. Lost my train. Talking about the shows to watch and all of that. What else is going on? All right, I got another recommendation because I know some of y'all don't have Hulu and you can't pick up the 11/22/60 or the 3 and all that. I've got another show that we started. I'm so big into the reality TV. we started watching the new season of the Great Food Truck Race. I don't know how many of y'all have seen that. And I assume it maybe is on Food Network. I assume so, but I don't even know that for certain. But they take a bunch of food trucks. They all have to compete against each other to see who can sell more as they travel around different areas. Well, this year, they're up in Alaska. And here's the thing. If I'm doing a food truck, if I'm working in a food truck, if I'm waiting in line outside a food truck, Alaska is not my first choice of where I'm going to be located whatsoever. It's cold up there in the best of times. And you're watching these people sell food, and it's 8 degrees outside, and people, of course, they're all bundled up because you're used to it up there, but they're having hard times getting their propane heaters heated up enough to their ovens high enough temperatures to cook everything. So it's very interesting watching all these food trucks operating up in Alaska. I think there have been 2 episodes so far, and there's 6 or 7 food trucks. It's a cool show to watch, just to see how people can operate. Every week they have to come up with special types of dishes to fit different challenges and things like that. We've got food trucks down in Houston, and I haven't gone to with COVID now. I haven't gone in a while, but I used to love some of the food trucks. You got to be careful. Some of them are expensive, but I love there's basically 3 food trucks here in Houston that I used to go to all the time. One of them served Venezuelan food. It was a Venezuelan family from Venezuela that was up here, expats, and served very authentic Venezuelan food. There was another one that sold Honduran food, which was basically like tostadas with all kinds of meats and everything, and salads and stuff on top. It's just amazing. And then the third one was a chicken and waffle truck. Guess what the chicken and waffle food truck served? Yeah, you got it. Chickens and waffles with a whole lot of different toppings and things like that. Man, I could eat that. I had chickens and waffles just the last day or two, so I could eat that all the time. But yeah, I used to go to the food trucks quite a bit. There's a lot of them here in town, but again, with COVID and all that, it's something kind of dropped off. I haven't done as much lately, but hey, this summer, hopefully, COVID's gone, and I'm going to be out hitting everything again and enjoying every bit of it. All right, let's see. Don is taking off. Don, if you haven't already taken off, howdy. Goodbye. Have a great, fantastic week. All right. What else is going on, guys? I haven't even talked about a few things. Lawrence saying Vietnam's become westernized just in the last 5 years. Very different now. I hate to hear that, Lawrence. It doesn't surprise me. But that's one of the things I've always done when I've traveled is lots of times, because a lot of times I don't have a car. But I've always tried to do these little walkabouts where I'll get to my hotel, I'll pull up a map of the area, and I'll just start walking. And I've discovered some fun things as I've done that over the years. And I walk, 3-4 miles. I remember in Dubai, I managed to get into the Russian section of Dubai. I didn't even know there was a Russian section, but suddenly I get to a McDonald's and the menu and everything's in Russian, not Arabic, Russian. And it's like, wow, have I just transported into a wormhole into a whole different country? Well, no, it's just, there's a little small section of Dubai that's Russian. In China, in Beijing, in Shekou, I started walking around. The next thing you know, I'm in a wet market, and I'm the only not American. I'm the only Westerner in this wet market, and they're selling all the snakes and the live critters and birds and pigeons and everything else. And it was interesting. I did not eat the bats and things like that, but it was very interesting going through and just seeing the way different people, different cultures, what they do and how they just live their day-to-day lives. But I remember that. So you never know when you do these walkabouts. And again, I hate to hear Vietnam's. If I go to Vietnam, I feel like I've traveled all the way over the world, around the world. I'm there enjoying the local culture, and then I look up and everyone's heading to a Starbucks around the corner. Well, that kind of bursts the bubble a bit, right? It's not, just doesn't make you feel like you're as isolated as sometimes you want to be. Lawrence is saying Roscoe's has the best chicken waffles, small Louisiana chain or Los Angeles chain. I'm not sure which one it is. I'd give it a shot, Roscoe. I've never found chicken and waffles that I'm not willing to tried it out. And Angie's saying we have a Calgary food truck called Waffles and Chicks. It's pretty good. I like that name. That's pretty authentic. Calgary's one of those places. I guess during the summertime it'd be all right. I can't picture someone going out there on those streets and waiting in line at a food truck there. I think in Calgary, every time I was there, if we wanted to eat a little something that was just side of the road kind of deal, we'd just go up in those L15s, which were the the tunnels that go everywhere between all the buildings, so you never have to walk outdoors. What a fantastic idea. We've got that here in Houston. It gets so hot during the summer, no one actually wants to walk outdoors. So we have tunnels. Instead of being elevated areas, we've got tunnels that go under most of the buildings. So you can walk from building to building and never go outdoors. Works great until we had our flooding a few years back and all the tunnels flooded out, and took a while to recuperate from that and everything. But people have complained. They said, yeah, it makes Houston look kind of a ghost town because you never see anyone walking around on the surface because they're all underground indoors and all that. Maybe, but we like our air conditioning down here. Right? You know, when it's 115 degrees outside, you're going to have a ghost town. No one's going outside during that stuff, especially when you're wearing business suits downtown and things like that. All right, let's see. What else? Who would eat a bat anyways, except for Ozzy Osbourne? Yeah, I bet Ozzy wouldn't be eating a bat nowadays, right, Angie and Ma? If the Star Trek transporter was really invented, we'd all die from pandemics. Oh, can you imagine what it'd be like if you just snapped your fingers and you could go anywhere you wanted to? Man, that'd be fantastic. Not so great for the car industry because everyone would be just transporting everywhere. I'm not sure how much I'd like that too. It'd be a little unsettling if everywhere you're walking, you just see people boop, boop, popping up everywhere they go. I guess there'd be your equivalent bus stops or something. You couldn't just pop up in the middle of someone's living room. You'd have to have some rules and regulations about that, but that'd be kind of interesting. And Super Bowl. I'd be at the Super Bowl just transporting into the stands every day of the week, watching something like that. All right, fellow Trekkie here, Angie, saying I was a huge science fiction fan, so I've been a Star Trek fan since as soon as I could watch it, and I like the old version, even though it's cheesy with the special effects and everything else. I like the Next Generation as well, but you can't beat Captain Kirk and Spock and all that. While I was at A&M, I actually got to listen to a speech from Gene Roddenberry where he talked about Star Trek, his idea and how it originated and all that. And we got to watch the pilot, the very first episode of Star Trek ever created. And I don't know, they never really showed it on TV. It was the Glass Menagerie. Eventually they kind of redid it so it looked like a flashback with Captain Kirk and all that. But we watched the very first episode that they showed to get NBC, I think, to buy into the series and all that. So yeah, it's pretty cool getting to meet Roddenberry and all of that. Let's see. Oh yeah. Angie's right. Eating a lot. Eating a bat was a challenge on season 4. Wow. All right, Angie. I haven't seen season 4 yet of The Amazing Race Canada. So wow. I'd eat a lot of things. I've always said in some of these challenges. Speaking of, let's talk about the challenge here in just a second. I've always thought there's a lot of things. There's very little I wouldn't be willing to eat if I was on a reality TV show and it came down to that winning. But a bat, that's pretty rough. I bet we don't see that challenge again, right? But yeah, talking about a challenge, I don't know how many of y'all are keeping up with it, but last week was pretty brutal. I did a little recap. Y'all can go out to my YouTube. Well, you're on my YouTube channel, but you can find my recap for the challenge. But they had to eat fermented shark, which actually doesn't sound so horrible. I think I could probably eat that. Ram's testicles, probably not my first choice in dining, and drink Arctic cheese juice. And I've never thought cheese and juice should ever come together in a single word. That doesn't seem like anything good whatsoever. But they had to eat all these different things as part of a challenge to win power for the week and all of that. And there was a little bit of eating going on, a whole lot of throwing up going on. And almost you couldn't watch it. It's so these reality shows really like showing people throwing up whenever they get a chance to. But yeah, they were eating some disgusting stuff. I was a little disappointed during my Big Brother season that we didn't have an eating challenge. I thought, for those of you who don't know, when you do a veto competition, the way it typically works is everyone who's not competing in the veto goes upstairs into the HOH room and is locked away. And they play music, so you're not allowed to talk about you're not allowed to talk about game strategy or anything else, but they're locked away in the HOH room. Everyone who's competing in the veto competition is each locked away in a different room where you have to wait until it's your turn. If it's a veto competition where everyone isn't competing together. If you're competing together, then everyone's downstairs watching and all that. But if it's a timed competition, one at a time, we're each locked away in a different room, so we can't see how everyone else is done. We can't plot with other people or anything like that. And it was kind of a joke. For whatever reason, every time we would randomly draw chips to see what order we went in and what rooms we were going to be isolated in, I pretty much always got the boat room, which was perfect for me because that's where I used to hang out a lot anyway. But I remember for my HOH, when I just put Jackson and Jack on the block, and it was time for the veto, and I was locked away in the boat room waiting, and I really thought it was time for an eating competition, some kind of identify the ingredients or memorize an order, and if you get wrong, you have to drink it, things like that. And so I was really steeling myself, getting ready, saying, I got to get these people, I've got to win veto. I've got to get someone out of the house, one of these guys. So no matter what it is, I'm going to eat it. And I was just getting prepared. And man, I remember I tried everything. I brushed my teeth right before we started the veto challenge, thinking, all right, well, at least if I've got a real strong taste of toothpaste in my mouth, it'll cut down on what other flavors maybe are going to be on it. I was that convinced it was going to be an eating competition. Instead, it was a jet ski competition where we had to get on the jet ski and take off our clothes while we're holding down buttons and all that. And that was kind of cool too. But yeah, we never had an eating competition during my season. And I don't look at me. I think I could have handled an eating competition and done pretty well. I don't know if y'all saw it, but we used to have a little contest while we were in there where we would mix up weird ingredients and dare people to eat it. And the person who would eat absolutely anything in the entire house was Bella. It didn't matter what people, hot sauce, chicken, whatever. I put any weird ingredients together, and Bella would eat it without hesitation. So yeah, good thing they didn't have eating competition during that week, or who knows what would have happened. So there you go. All right, we had, Hayden said we had the smell challenge, right? We did. And that was horrible. It was part of the Whacktivity, so only 5 of us competed, not the whole house. And I did it. But eating's one thing. Smelling and identifying different things. We had fox urine, coyote urine, spoiled potatoes, rotten shrimp, and it smelled. It was as bad. There was no acting when we were making faces. It smelled horrible. It stuck on our clothes. But my problem working in oil field, we've got a thing in oil field called H2S, hydrogen sulfide, that is created down hole. It's a rotten egg smell. Natural gas, sometimes they put it in with natural gas, so if there's a leak, you can smell it. And H2S, if you smell too much of it, starts burning out your sense of smell short term. But you do it enough over the years, it starts affecting your long term sense of smell as well. And I've worked in the oil field forever. And so as soon as I saw that was going to be a smell competition, I thought, this is horrible. This is the last thing I need to be doing, especially because Kat was also competing. And Kat had said that her mom was a perfume specialist or something. I mean, her specialty was smelling things and identifying flavorable scents and things like that. And I thought, man, if her mom's so good at it, Kat's going to be incredible at it as well. I don't know, is sense of smell genetic? I don't know, but as soon as they said it was going to be something based on smelling different things, I thought, this is it. I'm in trouble in this competition. And sure enough, I gave it my best, but I didn't win. Ovi won instead. And he didn't even tell me he won. I thought Ovi and I were a team, and he didn't even tell me. I don't hold it against him because we're all playing our own game, but that was horrible. For those of you who watch the episodes and all, they made it look like that Whacktivity took about 3 rounds before Ovi won. No. The reality is it took 6 or 7 rounds of us competing before anyone got the right answer. We could not figure that out. It got to the point at the end where I was thinking, man, just let anyone get it right, just so I don't have to keep going out and smelling this stuff. Obviously, I don't think I can win it, and unless just randomly I get the correct answer. So please let someone win so we can stop this dang competition. So once Ovi won, I think we were all, sad that we didn't win, but we were just happy that someone had won. It was tough. Angie, Cliff, have you tried Bean Boozled? It's gross jelly bean flavors like vomit. They're pretty realistic. It reminds me of Birdie's Box. Isn't that the Harry Potter jelly beans that they sell? And if it's like those, yes, we've tried them. It's a family tradition. We always get those Birdie Bots, and we go up over Easter and holidays and things like that with the extended family. And we always dare people to try all the different flavored jelly beans. And yes, there are some horrific tasting ones. And I don't know There's just some bad ones. A vomit flavored is certainly not one of my favorites. I remember dirt and grass and sardines and yeah. I have fun. I have fun playing pranks on people, and obviously food related pranks are always a lot of fun as well. All right, let's see what else is going on here, guys. I wonder if it was actually urine or it's like a smell filter. I don't know, Ma, and I didn't ask. They wouldn't have told us anyway. I never knew there was a difference between the different types of coyote versus fox. You talk about some very fine points in the olfactory senses to pick out the differences in those. But I think I got that one right. I actually did. I think the one that got me was maybe rotten potatoes versus spoiled shrimp or something like that. There was one of them that was a little tough. Paula, would you go back on Big Brother? Yeah, absolutely. All they got to do is make the call. I'd go back in a heartbeat. I mean, how do you turn down something like that? As far as would I play differently, I'd like to think so. I'd certainly be a little quieter when I'm talking in rooms, being aware there's some eavesdropping that could occur. I'd probably be a little less trusting of some people. I'd like to think I'd be a little more devious because no one would expect it. I'd probably really play on, oh, y'all saw me last year. You know that you can trust me. I've got integrity. I'm not going to screw you over and all that. And then I'd turn around and do it just to surprise people. I like to think I'd do that. In the reality of it, I don't know. Would I? Maybe. If that's what it took to get ahead, I'd probably be more willing to do it this time than I was last time. But yeah, I don't know. I'd play a little. Certainly, I'd play a little bit differently. I can't help but play differently because I know everything so much better about the way people respond and the anxieties and the paranoia that creates in the house and things that you can do to make that paranoia a little bit worse and everything else. So yeah, I'd play a little bit differently, but it's not like I'm going to go in there and be able to just turn myself into a villain because that's just not who I am. I hope y'all don't think I'm a villain my first season. I don't think so. I tried not to be a villain. All right, like a Zoom call where we all go in and talk about it with Cliff. Hey, Mom, maybe we'll do a Zoom call like that. It'd be fun one of these days, just set it up and we'll drag all of y'all in here and yeah, we need to plan something like that. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later this spring. That would be a lot of fun. We could have, because I talk a lot, which, you know, I guess it got me on Big Brother, but I'd love to actually, instead of just seeing the comments, to have everyone on here as well. That'd be fun. So maybe we need to start thinking about that. That'd be pretty good. Moss and I've had the vomit flavored jelly beans and it tasted, used to be a rotten pizza flavor. Was not my favorite. Yeah, I'll put it like that. I've had some bad stuff around the world. I've had a lot of good foods, but I've had a few that were pretty bad. I remember in Kazakhstan, I had a fermented dairy drink. It was a little bit like a yogurt or a spoiled milk or something. Maybe not I think they called it dough. I think that's what the name was. Probably not my favorite drink to have. I think make it solid enough so it's yogurt and I can eat it like that, or make it liquid enough that I can drink it like milk. But when it's right there in the middle a little bit, not my favorite. The worst I've ever had, though, was probably in the UK, and it was at the Baker Street Hotel, which is Baker Street where Sherlock Holmes was and all that. Maybe I guess it's okay to say the hotel because that was a long, long time ago. I had a fish that's called like skate or something, which I think is, I don't even know what it is, but anyway, whatever fish it was, they kept it in the fridge a little too long. It'd gone bad, and I was eating it, and I had all these business people I was there with. Trying to eat with. So I didn't want to complain or anything else. And so I just tried to kind of ignore it and started eating around it. But this stuff was so bad, started wafting ammonia up into my eyes. And so pretty soon, just like eating an onion or so, my eyes are watering and people are saying, what's going on? And after a little while, they start saying, what is that smell? I said, yeah, it's my fish. I think my fish is a little bit bad. And told the waiter at the restaurant, and all he said, oh, sorry about that. Took it away. And not a whole lot of customer service that particular trip. But yeah, that's, of all the weird places I've been all over the world, that probably is the worst meal I've ever had in my entire life. Maybe I need to do a YouTube series on the best and the worst meals I've ever had around the world, because I've got some good on both sides, both sides on that. Cliff coming back as a Zingbot. Yeah, cross track. I got some digs. I'd throw some digs at some people. I'd have to I'd have to really force myself and talk myself into it, because you hate being mean to people just for the sake of it. But that's what Zingbot does, right? So yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Lawrence, do you have to wear the microphone in the bathroom? You don't have to. I guess if you want to really be mean to the people who are monitoring all your conversations, you can. I sometimes would if I wasn't thinking about it, but normally I would take my microphone off and just set it on the table before I went in, just to be courteous and all of that. That's about that, and showers are about the only time that you weren't required to wear your microphone. The rest of the time we had to have it on and when you slept. And if you're sleeping, but you weren't really sleeping, you're talking to other people while you're laying in bed, then you would have to have your microphone there with you, even if you're laying down. But when you're sleeping, in the bathroom or in the shower, the 3 times, or in the swimming pool, were the 3 times that you, or 4 times that you could take your microphone off. So yeah, but for the most part, I assume that there's someone listening. I don't know if there's someone 24 hours a day that's just, okay, I got Cliff for today and you got, Tommy or whatever. I don't know if it works like that, or they just record it all and then later they go back and grab what they need to. We never were told any of the background, behind the scenes type stuff, but I always assumed that there was someone listening to me 24 hours a day when I had that microphone on. So yeah, I'm not gonna try not to burp while the microphone's there. I'm gonna try not to pop my knuckles or do anything else that the person on the other side's gonna go, geez, just why do I have to get stuck with Cliff and everything else? I tried to eat keep my mouth closed when I was eating, not chew loud or do anything like that as well. Because if you're some production assistant, I imagine I picture where the most junior person in the whole production team is the one that says, all right, you got to go listen to so-and-so because they always chew with their mouth open or they're burping, every 5 minutes. So you get that person. And the low person on totem pole thinking, God, I hate this job. So no, I tried to think about the people who are having to monitor everything I did. And so there you go. But we certainly did have rules, and they were very strict on those rules as well. All right. All right. For those of you who may be wondering, my green screen pick. We talked about the Ides of March. We talked about Caesar getting stabbed on this day. I guess it's a fairly famous painting. It's the Roman Senate that performed or that would meet and do their arguing back and forth. Did y'all know that Julius Caesar belonged to the Popular Party? I don't know what the other party was, but he was a member of the Popular Party that was headed up, I think, by Pompey, who was a older politician or whatever. And so there you go. So they had political parties even back during the Roman times, which is pretty amazing. I don't know a lot about Roman politics, but I did read that a little bit. And Ma's saying the little brother's trying to take a picture of me. Well, you know what, Ma, just let your little brother take the picture. He's going to get it eventually. At least you get to control the pic if you know what's happening. All right, plebeians and patricians. Well, that sounds pretty good. Were those the parties, or were those the people, like the politician versus a non-politician? I don't know. Yeah. And years later, it became very small, starting an economy pizza restaurant. All right. I got another story for y'all from college, talking about Little Caesars. I actually, when I was in college, went to moved to College Station to go to school. Went into a bank, started up a little bank account, because that's back when we wrote checks and things like that, before everyone just had debit cards and all that. Opened up my little account, and they had a contest where you could win all kinds of different competitions or win different prizes. And one of the things I gave away was free pizza for the entire semester. And so I signed up. I won. And I may have talked about this before, if so, apologies, but I won, and I found out it was from Little Caesars, and I won a pizza order, one per week for the entire semester. Well, because it's Little Caesars, it wasn't one, it's actually 2 pizzas. And so for that entire semester, usually on a Wednesday, I guess I had some special going on, you get extra as well, but I'd go over there once a week. I'd get me 2 big old pizzas, take them back, and I chowed down that week. I ate a lot of pizza that semester. I also worked at a place called Double Dave's Pizza Works. And I know I've talked about that, delivering pizzas and things like that. I talked about that where I've said I had a car broke down, so I just started delivering on my bicycle instead. But we also ate a lot of pizza that year or two that I worked there, because you'd get all kinds of, the stuff that didn't sell by the end of the evening. We'd package it all up, take it home. My roommates loved me. They had a blast living with me because I always came home with lots of pizza. They were probably more disappointed than I was when I quit that particular job so I could get ready for final exams and things like that, because I was the pizza guy while I was working at Double Dave's Pizza. So there you go. So we would most likely get cast on a popular click in season 11. All right. Yeah, think about it. Caesar, he was living his own kind of big brother, right? Lots of backstabbing. You don't know who you can trust. You make promises to a lot of people. Sometimes you get called on it. Caesar got evicted a little bit earlier than he planned, right? So we've got that. All right, let's see. Wow, 7:55. This goes quick, guys. All right, let's see. I'm not going to read some of these comments. I'll just let y'all wear them. Cliff versus Donnie versus Kevin. That would be a good match. All right, now I don't know if you're talking about inside the Big Brother house or you're talking about the fight night that's going on this summer. For those of you who don't know, and I know I've mentioned this before, they've got a lot of Big Brother people from Canada fighting against Big Brother people in the U.S. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if I'll go wherever it's being held and watch it, or I'll order pay-per-view here, or I'll set up some kind of a little get together for charity. I don't know how we're going to handle it, but it's going to be interesting to watch some of those. But yeah, can you picture Donnie and me fighting, or Kevin and me fighting, something like that? Be the old guys round or something. we could, it'd probably just have to be a round only. After 3 minutes of us punching at each other, we'd be like the 15th round of Rocky, where we can't even pick our hands up. We'd be so exhausted. We'd just be doing this against each other. And I think we'd go at as hard as some of the younger folks that are going to be doing those boxing competitions. I have a feeling we could all take punches a lot better than some of the younger people as well. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see Donnie, Kevin, or myself, any one of us doing any boxing matches anytime soon. Speaking of, all right, one more thing maybe before we shut her down. I don't know how many of y'all watched the earlier seasons of Big Brother, but season 10, they had Jerry on there. And McConnell, I can't remember Jerry's last name at this point in time, but Jerry was 73 years old, I believe, when he competed in Big Brother. Oldest contestant they've ever had on Big Brother US. I think someone said that Celebrity Big Brother in either Quebec or UK, somewhere else, they had an 82-year-old guy compete. But as far as standard old Big Brother competitions, Jerry is the oldest person that's ever competed. Former Marine. He was a character, man. He got upset with some people. He yelled at some people. He called people Jezebels and said, "You're dead to me," and had all kinds of comments to say. But Jerry made it to third place. Jerry actually lives just north of Houston. He's probably not been an hour and a half or so from me. And I've always really wanted to maybe call and visit with him or something else, and just see what his experiences were compared to mine and everything else. But he really has kind of dropped off the radar. He doesn't really do much in terms of Big Brother interactions at all. And so just to respect his privacy and all, I've never reached out or anything, but man, but anyway, his birthday was yesterday. So happy birthday to Jerry. He did us old guys proud. And again, he played a fantastic game. It was a little different back then when he played versus I played. Not quite as many physical competitions, not as many contestants. They didn't stay in the house as long and all of that. But I loved watching him play his game. He was a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, Jerry was the Rudy of Big Brother. I loved watching Rudy. Rudy, you're very right. Rudy on Survivor was fantastic. He was a lot of fun as well. So you're absolutely right. Very, very good comparison. He called Memphis a womanizer. I forgot about that. Yeah. So he did that. Moss, and we check, see if he's alive every now and then. Again, I'd love to talk with him one of these days. I probably won't get the chance because he's just not really not in the public eye right now. But he's one of the people. He and Kevin and Donnie are some of the people that made me, even at the age of 50, say I could go on that show. I'm not too old to do it. So a lot of respect for those guys for doing it. All right, before we shut down, I don't know how many of y'all are watching Big Brother Canada. I didn't even talk about it. I'm amazed I haven't even talked about it this evening. I know some of y'all up north of the border are watching it for certain. Some of you here in the States, maybe not. It's been interesting so far. it's turned into a little different. My season of Big Brother, we had that one big alliance, and the rest of us just trying to survive until that alliance blew up, which worked okay for me, but a little tough, a little sketchy there at the beginning. Not the case up in Big Brother Canada. They've actually kind of fallen into two separate sides, more or less, that are going against each other. So it may mean a little more give and take back and forth. We've lost two people so far. Again, I'm not going to talk about things that have happened that haven't been part of the official episodes, but we lost Julie and then we lost Josh last week, and they both probably played the game just a little too hard, a little too aggressive in the very beginning. They would have been better sitting back just a little bit and letting other people take control, and it didn't happen, and they paid the price. You got to be careful. Big Brother's a long game, but anyway, we've lost two people, but it's very exciting. I'm having a blast watching it. Another episode tonight, so I'll be watching that as well once it shows up again. So yeah, pretty cool. And Ma saying, my dad talked about going on as a joke, and whenever he talks about it, I try to imagine myself in Cliff's kid shoes. Yeah, it's a little different. And I know I've had my kids on here, Kelly and Daniel, and it's out on, y'all can go find that video on my playlist as well. A little tough for someone to watch your dad on the show. And I know even while we were in the house, Tommy and I used to laugh saying, okay, I'll get Kelly or Daniel, one of my kids, to go on the show. Tommy, you get your dad to go on the show, and we'll just have the roles reversed and see how they do. And Tommy talked about how strange it'd be watching his dad on the show as well. So yeah, it's a little tough watching a parent do something like that, I'm sure. I feel for what they had to put up with watching me dancing and twerking and doing all the silly stuff I did in that house to try to fit in. But it was quite the experience, and I'm so glad I did it. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. It's 8 o'clock. Again, I'm not used to it. It's just now getting dark outside. So maybe we got a couple things. Maybe we'll do a Zoom call somewhere down the road. Maybe I'll do an outdoor Cliff Notes one of these days just to get back in touch with nature and all that. But guys, y'all have a fantastic week. Have a fun St. Patrick's Day, and everything done in moderation. For those of you who are over the age of 21 that may be planning a little fun activities on St. Patrick's Day involving Guinness or green beer, whatever. It's all done in moderation, but everyone have a blast on St. Patrick's Day. Only pinch the people that you know aren't going to pinch you back or that will take it as a joke that it's intended, right? But y'all have a fantastic week. Enjoy it. Another episode of The Challenge on Wednesday. I'll be dropping a recap a few days after that. And then I'll be back here on Monday night. Guys, y'all have a great one. Till then, cheers, my friends. SKB 143. Have a great week. And beware the Ides of March. You only got a few more hours, but beware. Cheers, guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.